Hello everyone, this is Akshat Pandey from vedicakshat.com. I'm a Vedic astrologer, and in this video I'm going to talk about an important topic of Vedic astrology, that is the Navamsha chart. I'm not going to go into detail that how do we calculate Navamsha. That can be studied and learned from any standard text or any book, and the software nowadays does it pretty accurately, so there's no point in going into detail that how do we calculate the Navamsha chart. But I'll give a brief introduction. Why is Navamsha is regarded as one of the most important divisional charts? Navamsha is our destiny. It is the destiny that God has given us. So that is why Navamsha is a very important chart. It is an also very important chart because it tells us about our marriage, and the saying that marriage is made in heaven is coming from Navamsha, because this chart is all about marriage and all about destiny. Coming to the Navamsha chart, Navamsha is the ninth division of a Rashi. It gives us an expanded view of the ninth house and the seventh house. Why we are saying marriage from Navamsha? See, in the Hindu culture, marriage is termed as Viva. It is seen from the 12th house, and a spouse is coming from the seventh house. So, spouse and Viva are the fruits of the Dharma, and dharma is in the ninth house. Because of dharma, of a past life karma and a destiny, we are getting a partner, we are entering into viva. So Navamsha is the most important chart when considering marriage, and it tells us all about marriage. It tells about your spouse, breakage of marriage, about your in-laws, about your finances or spouse finances. In this video, I'm going to give you a brief introduction of Navamsha houses. I have already written a detailed article on my website with example charts. Those who are interested into deep study may have a look at it. It's available on vedikakshat.com. So coming to the Navamsha. Navamsha is the chart that comes into play even before a birth, because the Navamsha Lagna is the one that actually tells us that how the native is going to be born. The first house of the Navamsha tells us about our birth circumstances, whether the birth is going to be an easy birth, a difficult birth. It is all seen from the Navamsha first house. Secondly, the Navamsha first house tells us about our looks, about our abilities. So it becomes a very important point when we have to see that how is the internal nature of the native, how is the color, the skin tone of the native, whether he's good looking, whether he's bad looking, or his skin is fair, his skin is dark, all can be seen from the Navamsha Lagna. Benefic planets in the Navamsha Lagna give a fairer skin, give an easy birth. Planets like Mars, Saturn, Sun, Rahu, and Ketu create issues in the birth. There might be a C-section birth, or there might be difficulties during giving birth, and mother may have some issues. Secondly, they also cause the skin tone to go dark. But any planet in the Navamsha Lagna is your by birth ability. You will be good in some aspect related to that planet. For example, if Sun is in the Navamsha Lagna, you may be good with music, you may like music, you know how the rhythms work, you may be punctual, or you may have some other ability of the Sun imbibed in you from birth. Check whether your Navamsha Lagna is correct. Check your by birth abilities, check your internal nature, the planets or the Rashi falling in the Navamsha. If the Navamsha Lagna is empty and there is a Rashi, that Rashi will also have a say. Suppose if somebody is born and the Navamsha Lagna is Aries, then check whether they have tendencies of Aries or not. If not, then try to change it. Change it and see whether your Navamsha Lagna is correct or not. So this is the important of the first house of the Navamsha Lagna. Now coming to the second house of the Navamsha. So the second house of Navamsha denotes our wealth. It also tells us about our second marriage. It has the power to break the first marriage, and it has a deep impact on our sexuality. We don't want many malefic planets in the second house in the Navamsha. They may create some sort of abuse with the native. I've already talked about this in my previous video, but planets in the second house of the Navamsha always help you with wealth. Good benefic planets can give you very good finances. If somebody who is divorced or whose first marriage did not work out and broke, then the second house in the Navamsha is going to tell you about your second marriage. Planets associated or in the second house can bring you your spouse during their dasha. So people who have broken marriage and want to get married again for the second time must always look at the second house of the Navamsha. Coming to the third house in the Navamsha. Third house is like a good luck charm. If there are good planets, it can give us good luck. If there are some bad planets, it can cause little bit troubles. Third house in the Navamsha is our parakram. How we are going to use things in our life, how we are going to take on things. Third house is also like a lucky charm. Planets in the third house are always going to help us in a profession and to help us grow. So if you have any planet in the third house, look for that, and if it's benefit for you in the Rashi, always keep some items related to that planet. It will bring you good luck, it will bring you success. The third house in the Navamsha is also your father-in-law. So check whether you have a good father-in-law, your relations are with your good father-in-law, good or bad, and whether your father-in-law is there or not. Planets in the third house in the Navamsha are going to tell you that. And this is I'm telling you for the first marriage, not for the second marriage. The fourth house of the Navamsha is a very, very crucial house because this house has the power to make or break our health. The fourth house of the Navamsha is also called Khara, and planets here have the power to destroy our health, especially malefic planets. If you have any malefic planet in the fourth house of the Navamsha, be very cautious because during that dasha of that planet, your health may get deteriorated or you may face some health issues. One thing more to be noted that if you have malefics in the Navamsha fourth house, it is better to avoid foods of that planet, otherwise they can cause your health issues. So fourth house is Khara, be always careful. A good remedy for planets in the fourth house, it's a reading of the Sundarkand. Sri Ram removes Khara, so any worship of Ram is very, very beneficial for people who have malefics in the fourth house of Navamsha. The Navamsha fifth house is a very important house in terms of abilities. Any planet in the Navamsha fifth house is a good planet because all planets have knowledge. All planets gives us abilities. Planets in the fifth house are the abilities that you acquire by yourself while growing in the life. So check whether you have any planets in the Navamsha fifth house and what sort of abilities that you have learned through yourself. Suppose somebody has Ketu in the Navamsha fifth house, they can learn to dance by themselves, they can learn mathematics by themselves, and they can become very good at it. The sixth house of the Navamsha is a negative house. It is actually the punishment that the destiny has in for us. Planets in the sixth house during that dasha can punish us through them. And if you have planets in the sixth house, avoid wearing their gemstones and be careful during the dashas of that planet. The Navamsha seventh house is the house of the spouse. It tells everything about a marriage. It tells everything about the spouse. Just as the Navamsha Lagna was telling us about ourselves, in the same way we can see the seventh house as the Lagna of the spouse, and we can predict everything, making the seventh house of the Navamsha as the Lagna of the spouse. Planets in the seventh house will tell us the nature and the looks of the spouse, and during the dasha they have the power to give us marriage. So whenever you're trying for marriage, always check the Navamsha seventh house and see if any dasha is related to the seventh lord or planets in the seventh house. A simple rule to check how your spouse is going to be, just make the Navamsha seventh house as the Lagna and then read all the houses accordingly. You will get to know a very deep picture about your spouse from the Navamsha seventh house. The Navamsha eighth house is an extremely negative house. This house is the debt that you owe from past life to the gods. Lord of the eighth house, wherever it sits in the Navamsha, is going to create a problem. It is also having the power to break your marriage. The dasha or of the eighth lord of planets in the Navamsha eighth house during that dasha can cause breakage of marriage either through separation or widowhood. Be very careful of the Navamsha eighth house. Coming to the ninth house of the Navamsha, It is an extremely good house. It tells us that what are the things that we learn through a guru or a teacher, and how these talents we are going to acquire. So if there are planets in the ninth house, you have the power to learn or attain knowledge of that planet, but it must be through a guru. For example, in my case, my Navamsha ninth house is having Venus, it is having Jupiter and Ketu, and I'm getting a Parampara Yoga and a Tapasya Yoga. So I learned Jyotish from a guru. Before that, I had nothing to do with Jyotish. So you need to go to a teacher in order to activate the Navamsha ninth house. Any association of Jupiter with the Navamsha ninth house is extremely beneficial because it tells us that the blessings of the guru are there from past life. Now, the Navamsha 10th house is a good house for finance. Benefics in the Navamsha 10th house gives us stable finance, and malefics may dwindle our finances during the dasha. Always check what are the planets in the Navamsha 10th house and activate that. Another important thing that is coming from the Navamsha 10th house is a mother-in-law. So check how is your relationship with your mother-in-law, how are things with your mother-in-law, and depending upon that, you can see whether your Navamsha 10th house is correct or not. Now, the Navamsha 11th house is the house of Maya. It is the house that we desire and what we want to achieve. It is a good house. Planet in the Navamsha 11th house, we are always fascinated by them. It is an extremely good house for maintaining marriage. A simple tip for everybody who's married: select gifts for your spouse based on your Navamsha 11th house. Your spouse is going to love it. The 12th house of the Navamsha is the house of death. It tells us the planet or which are forcing us to leave this plane. It is called Jivan Mukta Amsha. Jivan Mukta Amsha means that one who frees us from life. So planets in the 12th house of the Navamsha act as Marak. They have the power to kill us. If there are malefic yugas in the Navamsha 12th house, it is known as Dushamaran Yoga. It can cause serious dangers to the health during the dasha. Benefic planets will also cause danger to the health, but that danger may not be like a violent or something destructive. So Navamsha 12th house is an extremely important house for health and life purposes. If you are having too many malefics in the Navamsha 12th house, it is better to do Mrityunjay mantra every day, but the remedy lies in worshipping the Mahavidya, which can be seen from the Navamsha 12th house, and we can select by examination other Varga charts like D40 what Mahavidyas we need to do. Without that, we cannot say whether you are advised to do any Mahavidya worship or not. So this is an just a just on Navamsha. Navamsha is so huge that you can write a book. There are so many things. All the devtas are in the Navamsha. So many. I think I'm going to cover these things in a later video. This was just a short introduction for people who doesn't know how important Navamsha is. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Vedic Akshat and have a good day. Thank you. Namaskar.